She wanted to become a designer. I worked 60 hours a week to keep us afloat. Then one day she looked me in the eye and said, "You're the reason I haven't made it." That I built her dream while mine fell apart. "You're the reason I haven't made it." That's what she said. After 10 years. After I gave her everything I had, and then some. When Cassie and I first met, she was magnetic. The kind of person who walked into a room and everyone turned their head. She had this wild energy, a laugh that made strangers smile, and a dream bigger than life itself. To become a world-class fashion designer. She said it the first night we met. "I don't want to just sell clothes," she told me. "I want to change the way people feel in them." At the time I thought it was beautiful. Inspiring. I was 24, working full-time in construction, renting a tiny studio apartment, and wondering what it meant to want more from life. Cassie had more in her eyes. And I fell for it for her, fast. The sacrifices began early. 6 months into dating, she got accepted into a prestigious design program in a city 2 hours away. Her voice trembled with excitement when she told me, and then fell when she added, "But I can't afford the move." I offered before she even asked. "We'll make it work," I said. "You chase your dream, I'll figure out the rest." So I took on more hours. Picked up night shifts. Stopped going out. I dropped the gym. Gave up the lease on my place and moved in with her in a tiny one-bedroom near campus. I told myself it was temporary. That it was an investment. In her, in us, in the future. What I didn't know was that my future was about to get buried under hers. Our lives revolved around her dream. Cassie dove into the program headfirst. She stayed up all night sketching, sewing, burning through fabric and coffee like a machine. I made sure the bills were paid. The fridge had food. The Wi-Fi worked. I told myself this was love. Real love. The kind that shows up when things get hard. Sometimes I'd come home after a 14-hour shift and find her asleep on the floor surrounded by fabric scraps, her hands covered in charcoal from sketching. I'd carry her to bed, tuck her in, and then crash on the couch, too tired to even shower. She never noticed. She never asked how my day went. She never said thank you. But I figured she was just focused. That once she made it, she'd remember how we got there. Together. The first time she dismissed me. It happened a year in. I had saved enough to buy a used car. Something small but decent so we didn't have to rely on buses anymore. I was proud of it. Cassie barely looked up from her sketchpad when I pulled into the lot. That's cute," she muttered. "But kind of basic. Like, dad energy." I laughed awkwardly, brushing it off. But it stung. It wasn't just the comment. It was how easily she said it, like my effort was invisible. Later that night, when I asked if she wanted to go out to celebrate, she replied, "I really don't have the headspace for distractions right now." Distractions. That's what I had become. The years started blurring. 3 years in, she graduated. Top of her class. I thought, this is it. The payoff. But it wasn't. She couldn't find work, not the kind she wanted. So she launched a brand from home. I helped her build the website. Took photos of her pieces. Ran ads. I even learned to use her sewing machine in case she needed help with bulk orders. I kept working 60+ hours a week. When that wasn't enough, I started doing freelance handyman gigs on weekends. My knees hurt. My back hurt. I missed weddings, birthdays, life. But Cassie? He kept reaching. "I just need a little more time," she'd say. "We're close. I can feel it." So I kept going. The night I knew something had changed. It was our 7th anniversary. I booked a table at a nice rooftop restaurant. Months in advance. When I told her, she rolled her eyes and said, "Ugh, I told you I have a meeting with a buyer that night. Can't you just reschedule?" There was no apology. No hug. No, happy anniversary. Just a reminder that my place was behind her, not beside her. I remember sitting alone at that restaurant, suit jacket tight around my shoulders, holding a menu I couldn't afford, staring at a chair she never filled. And for the first time, I felt like the accessory. Like I was the handbag in her outfit. Replaceable. "You're holding me back." Cassie's brand wasn't taking off the way she hoped. She'd get bursts of interest. A feature in a niche blog, a small boutique reaching out. But it never exploded. And every time something didn't work out, her frustration would land squarely on my shoulders. If I didn't have to worry about bills, she'd snap, I could focus more on my designs. She said it like I wasn't working 60 hours a week so she could focus. But I didn't argue. I just picked up another side gig. The shift in her tone. She began talking about other designers, people she met at events, creatives who got it. "I wish you understood what it's like to want something bigger than just paying rent," she said once. I just stared at her. I wanted a home, a family, stability. But in her world, dreams were only real if they were artistic. Everything else, my work, my effort, was background noise. When I offered to fund a pop-up store downtown, she didn't smile. She said, "You don't get it. You can't just throw money at it and expect it to work. I need real support." Real support? I was living off frozen burritos and instant coffee so she could sew silk dresses and chase runway dreams. The resentment grew quietly. We stopped talking like we used to. No, "How was your day?" or "Let's watch something together." I'd come home to her pacing the room, phone pressed to her ear, or hunched over her sketchpad, music blasting through headphones. Once I asked if she wanted to take a weekend trip, just a break. She scoffed. "Do you know how much a weekend off sets me back?" I wanted to yell. "Do you know how long it's been since I slept more than 5 hours?" But I swallowed it. I always swallowed it. The big blow. Then came the evening I will never forget. I had just gotten home from a long job, my shirt soaked in sweat, hands calloused and sore. I opened the door and Cassie was standing there in the kitchen, arms crossed. She didn't say hi. She didn't ask how I was. She said, "We need to talk." I nodded, wiping my face with a towel. "Hey, what's up?" She exhaled like I'd already disappointed her. "I've been thinking," she said slowly, "and I feel like I'm not reaching my full potential." "All right. And it's because I've been stuck in this dynamic with you, with this life." I froze. "What are you saying?" She looked me dead in the eye. "I think you're the reason I haven't made it." Silence. It rang in my ears louder than any scream could have. "I mean," she continued, "you're comfortable. You're always about routine. You don't challenge me." Challenge her? I built her runway out of my own broken spine. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So, let me get this straight," I said quietly. "You think I'm the reason you're not successful?" She didn't flinch. "I think I've outgrown what we have. What we had. I gave up everything, nights, years, my body, so she could chase a dream that never once included me. And now I was the weight around her ankle?" That night I slept in the truck. I couldn't even bear to lie next to her. I sat in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went white, heart pounding in my chest like a drum. 10 years. 10 years of scraped knees, skipped dinners, maxed out credit cards. And the conclusion she came to wasn't "thank you." It was, "You're holding me back." I stared out the windshield all night, trying to process what my life had become. I had nothing. No savings. No time. No respect. Just a pile of receipts, back pain, and a woman inside who saw me as an anchor instead of the man who kept her afloat. The next morning I came inside after hours of not sleeping, and Cassie was already at her laptop, sipping oat milk latte like nothing had happened. "Did you sleep in the truck?" she asked, barely looking up. I nodded. She didn't say anything else. Not even why. Not even sorry. Just silence, like that was normal now. Flashbacks came in waves. As I stood there watching her scroll through Pinterest boards for mood inspiration, I started remembering everything I had done to get her here. Small orange diamond, the time I pawned my grandfather's watch, the only thing he'd ever left me, to pay for her first sewing machine. Small orange diamond, the month I ate ramen noodles every single day so we could afford the booth fee at her first fashion fair. Small orange diamond, the countless nights I watched her sleep peacefully while I massaged my feet after double shifts, pretending everything was fine. And now she sat there, like I was just in the way. She started floating away. She began spending more and more time at a co-working studio across town. Said it was better for her creative energy. She'd stay late, miss dinner, come home smelling like a mix of expensive candles and someone else's cologne. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But I noticed. One night she walked in around midnight, laughing at something on her phone. I was sitting on the couch in the dark. "You could have at least texted," I said quietly. She rolled her eyes. "I'm not a teenager. I don't need a curfew." "You're my wife," I said. "I worry." She tossed her bag on the floor. "Well, maybe don't. I don't need you monitoring my every move." A conversation I'll never forget. 2 days later I came home early. I wanted to talk. To fix something. I found her in the kitchen, headphones on, cutting fabric. Cassie, I said, can we talk? She took off one earbud. Make it quick. I've been thinking, I said, voice cracking. I don't think I can keep doing this. I'm burnt out. And I feel like I'm invisible in my own marriage. He blinked, annoyed. So what do you want me to do? Give up my dream? No, I said. I want you to see me again. I want you to appreciate what I've done. I want to feel like we're in this together. She sighed dramatically. You always make it about you. I just stared at her. About me? I had given her everything. And now I was selfish for asking to be seen? The worst humiliation. That weekend we went to a small fashion networking dinner. He insisted I come. I thought maybe it was a good sign. Maybe she wanted me by her side again. We sat at a long candlelit table. Artists, influencers, people who spoke in trends and fabrics. Cassie introduced me to someone as, just my husband. He works a lot. So, not the man who made this possible, not my biggest supporter. Just, he works a lot. They chuckled politely and moved on. I sat there, cheeks burning. I barely spoke the rest of the night. The monologue that changed everything. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while Cassie scrolled on her phone. I whispered, do you even love me anymore? She was quiet for a second. Then said, I don't know. The silence that followed was suffocating. I got up, walked to the kitchen and leaned on the counter, heart pounding. I started whispering, not to her but to myself. 10 years. 10 years. Of scraping by. Of bleeding for someone else's dream. And now she doesn't even know if she loves me. Was I ever anything more than a wallet with hands? Tears welled in my eyes. And for the first time in a decade I asked myself, what do I want? The divorce talk. A week passed after that night. A week of silence that screamed louder than any fight we'd ever had. Cassie barely said a word to me. We were roommates at best. Strangers at worst. And still part of me hoped she'd turn around. Apologize. Say she was just overwhelmed. But she didn't. The final blow. One afternoon I got home early from work. My manager had let me off after a double shift when he noticed how exhausted I looked. I opened the door to find Cassie on the phone, laughing. Yeah, she said, he just doesn't get it. He's sweet but kind of pathetic. I froze in the hallway. He was talking about me. I knew it in my gut. I backed up, closed the door quietly and sat in my truck for another hour staring at the dashboard. I don't even remember what I thought about. Just numbness. That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. That evening I didn't try to be gentle. I walked in and said, we need to talk. She glanced up. Can it wait? I'm working on. No, I interrupted. You've been working for 10 years. You can take 5 minutes. She folded her arms. What now? I heard you on the phone, I said. Calling me pathetic. She didn't even flinch. It's not like you haven't been pathetic lately. That hit like a gut punch. But I didn't back down. You know what's pathetic? I said, voice shaking. Using someone's love as a ladder, then kicking them in the face once you're done climbing. Her lips tightened. Oh, here we go. The martyr act. No, this is the done act, I said. I'm done. With the guilt. With the gaslighting. With pretending this is a partnership. She crossed her arms. So what, you want a divorce? I stared at her for a long moment. Yes. First she laughed. You're bluffing, she said. You'd be lost without me. No, I said calmly. You'd be lost without me. And that's the part that scares you. Her face changed then. The confidence wavered. She realized something. I meant it. That night I lay on the couch, unable to sleep again, but this time I wasn't sad. I was remembering things. Small blue diamond, how she once laughed when I gifted her a necklace for our anniversary, said it looked cheap, even though I'd worked 3 extra shifts to buy it. Small blue diamond, how she mocked me in front of her friends when I wore my one good button-down to her event. You look like you're going to a PTA meeting, she joked. Small blue diamond, how she never once said thank you after I paid for her design software, her website, her photo shoots, her mentors. Just took. Expected. Demanded. A visit to the lawyer. The next day I did something I thought I never would. I walked into a divorce attorney's office. I told him everything. 10 years of finances. Her name on everything. My name on nothing. He leaned back in his chair and said, "You've been exploited." Plain and simple. I left the office with trembling hands, but a stronger spine. When I served her the papers, she went ballistic. "You'll ruin me," she screamed. "I supported you for a decade," I said coldly. "You ruined me." Cassie begged, then threatened, then played the victim. But I didn't budge. For once, I wasn't afraid of losing her. Because I realized, I never had her. I just had a role. Provider. Stepping stone. Emotional punching bag. That night, as I packed a bag, I whispered to myself. I gave her everything. My money. My strength. My youth. And when she had nothing left to take, she blamed me for not having more. The divorce wasn't dramatic. No screaming matches in court. No public scenes. Just paperwork, quiet signatures, and the heavy realization that 10 years of my life had been reduced to folders and receipts. Cassie moved fast. Too fast. Within weeks, she was posting photos from cafes, co-working spaces, rooftop bars. Captions about new beginnings and finally being free. She framed herself as the woman who had escaped a limiting relationship. I didn't correct her. I didn't need to. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't living for her narrative anymore. The silence that healed me. After I moved out, I rented a small one-bedroom on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. But it was quiet. No sewing machines humming at 2 a.m. No complaints about money while spending mine. No feeling like I was constantly in the way. The first night there, I slept for 9 hours straight. I woke up confused. My body wasn't used to rest. I stood in the kitchen drinking cheap coffee, staring at the sunlight on the wall. And for the first time in years, my chest didn't feel tight. I was broke. But I was free. I sold the truck and bought an older, smaller car. Took fewer hours at work. Not because I was lazy, but because I finally could. I started sketching again at night. Not fashion. Machines. Lines. Structure. Turns out I still loved creating. I enrolled in night classes. Management. Business basics. Things I'd always put off because they weren't her dream. My instructor once told me, "You're disciplined. You just needed direction." That stuck with me. When she reached out. 6 months later, Cassie texted. "I didn't realize how much you did until you stopped." I read it 3 times. Then I put the phone down. I didn't reply. Because that message wasn't about accountability. It was about regret, and regret isn't love. One night, I was cleaning out an old box and found photos from our early years. Us on a mattress on the floor. Laughing. Hopeful. Equal. I didn't hate her. But I finally understood something important. She didn't fail because of me. And she didn't succeed without me. She simply never learned how to stand on her own, because someone was always holding her up. And when I stopped, she called it betrayal. A new standard. A year later, I went on a date. Nothing flashy. Just dinner. She asked me, "What do you want from life?" I didn't panic. I didn't deflect. I answered. And when she said, "That sounds solid," I felt something I hadn't felt in a decade. I supported my wife's dream for 10 years. I starved. I broke myself. I disappeared. And when she told me I was holding her back, I finally understood the truth. You can't build someone else's future by destroying your own. Love isn't sacrifice without limits. Love is partnership. And if someone only thrives while you suffer, they don't need love. They need a resource. And I'm not one anymore.